Alright, hey. Alright.
All right.
No crash, good.
Hey, okay, excellent. So finally, no tech issues. All right. Recording software is also working, so that's good. Okay. So we are talking about your ladder anxiety. You basically you like playing Dota. You don't have any issues in game really, but you have issues queuing up. Um,
Mm.
like I said earlier, basically like one of the better solutions to this is if you don't know what the cause of the problem is, like you don't know what specifically is like making you feel anxious, other than like performance or whatever. Um, the best thing to do is just queue and do your best to play as much as you can. Um,
hmm
it's tough because you have to get over that anxiety in order to do that, but that's pretty much the only way I know how to. Unless we can try to work through and find what's making you anxious. Um, do you value MMR? Like, is that something that you value highly?
Uh, yes and no. I feel like my friends, like the people who I regularly play with,
Mhm.
are like the only people I really like care about how good I am, if that makes sense. I worded that really poorly, but
No, I
uh,
understand.
I only really care like what they think about my skill level, and like if they think like I'm a 5K player, my MMR is like 2.5K. I wouldn't really
Mhm.
like care that much. But like at the same time, I still do like I don't want my I don't want to lose like MMR. Obviously, like I would want my MMR to go up rather than down.
Okay. Yeah, that's very normal. I don't think there's anything like intrinsically wrong with that. Um, hmm. So it's not MMR then. Like,
It's one thing that's kind of weird is like I could play like five solo queue games like one day and then like not play a solo queue game for like 2 months.
mhm.
Like and I know I it might be like if I'm like in a TeamSpeak server or something with my friends, or like specifically this one friend who like we talk about Dota a lot.
Mhm.
So like maybe that might like that like I guess helps me forget about like the stuff that's in like the back of my head about playing.
Mhm.
But it's still it's still really like weird, and I don't quite understand it. Like why I'm so anxious to like play the game that like I love so much.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand you. And I've had issues with ladder anxiety in the past as well. Um, one thing that helped me was like a bit of tough love. Basically, I had a friend tell me that my games don't matter at all in the grand scheme of things. Like nobody is watching them. I'm not playing for money. The MMR is totally meaningless, up to a certain point. Um, that really helped me personally, like acknowledging that. Um, like presumably you're not playing for money, like you're not playing for big tournaments or whatever, and matchmaking is not your way to practice for those. Um, it's really harsh, but that's kind of like the reality of it, right? Like,
I, I
sorry, go ahead.
was like way more I guess that makes a lot of sense. Like when I was like playing with a team, I would like solo queue regularly. Like I might not play like 5 or 6 games a day, or like however many games I could a day,
Hmm.
but like I'll play like maybe one or two like a day. And I guess it's maybe because I had like a reason to.
Hmm.
It's like I had something to practice for, I guess. Whereas now, like, I guess all I have is like my MMR, I
Hmm.
guess. It's just like I kind of want to not like plummet if I'm on like a bad streak, and then like that demotivates me even more from playing.
Yeah. Wait, the comment thing is that like a friend commenting to you about a losing streak or whatever?
No, sorry, I'm
Uh,
confused about.
okay, I think I misunderstood you. Could you repeat the last part about the losing streak?
Um, I was just like when I was like on a team, I had something to practice for.
Yeah.
But now, like all I really have is like my MMR to show like, okay, so like this is how good I am, I guess. So
Right. Right.
I wouldn't want to go on like a losing streak, which would just demotivate me like even more from playing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, the nice thing about the matchmaking system is that it's really hard to actively get worse. Like even if your MMR reflects that you're getting worse or whatever. Um, and really, it's all variance. Like over a span of 100 games, you might have like 5 or 6 losing streaks where you lose like 3 or 4 in a row, maybe even more. Maybe you have 10 losses in a row. I've certainly had periods like that. I think my record is like 14 losses in a row or something, which is just like absurd, right? Um,
Mm.
and on the other hand, I've also had like 22 win streaks, 25 win streaks, like ridiculous stuff like that. But either way, like that's just how the matchmaking system works. Is like you're gonna have periods where you just lose 5 games in a row because like of things that you can't control, or maybe it's a combination of like you get bad teammates plus you're playing very poorly and you can't carry games that you normally could.
Mm.
Um, so that's just like another reason for you to not really worry about that kind of thing. It's definitely way better to just take every game as it comes, and like only treat it as if like you haven't played any other games before that. Like it doesn't matter in one game if your teammate sucked the last game. Like it doesn't matter if you had 2 games in a row where your teammate sucked. That one game only matters, and then after that, like it doesn't matter anymore. The next game matters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess like one of the things that um, I think about the most is like I have a tendency to just like think about like the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Just like one of the big things with me is like I get really fed up of trying to persuade like my tilting teammates to try and win again.
Oh, okay, okay.
And because like my attitude to like anything is I wanna do the best that I possibly can and I wanna win. Like I
Right.
hate losing. And I feel like because I I guess I take every loss to heart, which is really bad and I know I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't. But when I have like tilting teammates, I just tilt mega hard. Like if they don't respond to like reason, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have an answer for you here. So this is good that you brought this up. Um, Dota players are not rational beings, including you at times. I'm sure. Like I know I'm not
Yeah,
in some
definitely.
cases. Like I get so pissed over the dumbest things. Like some guy could like mess up a pull and push my safe lane or something, which is really bad. But there's no reason to get like extremely mad over it.
Mm.
Um, no, this matters quite a bit. Okay. So my best advice for you then is just immediately, like as soon as somebody says anything like even remotely negative, just mute them. What
Mm.
they say does not matter. Like even if they end up saying something helpful, like or like try to communicate in a good way later on, it doesn't matter compared to like how negatively tilting can affect your game.
Mm.
Especially if you're just trying to win. Like this concept of teamwork is something that like is happening a lot in games lately. Like not just Dota, it happens in other games where people that are below the highest level of play are really obsessed with like this idea of teamwork and like working together with their friends to achieve a greater goal. And that's great. That's an extremely positive thing. But when it comes to like winning games that are below standards or below like the highest level of play, you don't need that. I'm not saying like you should just try to 1v9 every game and like try to solo carry your team and do all of that, but you don't need your team to win games is the main point. Like you really do have all of the power to control, or you have all of the power to win games by yourself, especially if you're a mid or a core player. Um,
Mm.
if that makes sense. I think I was
Yeah.
pretty clear there.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely does.
okay, yeah. So what your teammates say or think or do or how they play does not matter at all. Um, it's just there's going to be so much variance in your games in terms of like people who are extremely volatile and just like mid gets first blooded, boom, I'm tilted, I'm feeding down my lane right away. Like there are people like that, and then there are people who are a little bit more chill. They don't really care. They're relaxed, yada yada. And then there are people in the middle, and you can't control any of that shit. Like even if you can like tune their emotions a little bit by like saying like, hey, we're still in this, guys. Like we can win, we can come back. We just need to play for late game or whatever. That's all great, but then you're like distracting yourself from what you could be doing in game, and that's
Mm.
what really
Yeah.
matters. Because like when you practice what you're going to be doing, and when you practice like um, impacting the game on your own, that's when you start getting good, or that's when you start getting like better more quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
Okay. So yeah, that my definite recommendation for the ladder anxiety thing is just play, and then if anybody says anything that even like annoys you a little bit, just mute them. It's fine. Like nobody, if they hate you for it, like who cares? You don't know.
Mm.
It's not like you're like hurting them physically or like disrespecting them or whatever. Like they're able to do the same thing to you. So
Like one thing that I used to do is just like mute all chat.
mhm.
But like the one thing I really dislike about that is like you can't turn it on and off in like the picking phase.
Right.
So it's like if I like, let's say I want like mid, and this other guy highlights mid as well. Like, apart from me saying, "Hey, can I have mid, please?" and then hoping that he moves his icon, like I have no like indicator of where am I going to be forced like into a different role.
Hmm.
So it's like I feel like it's muting all chat is like a double-edged sword, but
Yeah, for sure.
I guess I want to like see the best in my teammates. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to think that they're gonna like throw this game.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things that like frustrates me the most is like I know that like the chance of have like me having a feeder on my team is technically less likely than the enemy team having a feeder on their team,
Right.
because I'm not gonna like intentionally feed because my mid fed first blood. So like there are only like 4 chances
Yeah, exactly.
for that person to be on my team. But like that really doesn't like help. Like the thought that, well, eventually like I could go on a 5 loss streak where the same guy in my game is just feeding curves like if
Yeah.
if our team gives up first, but like there'll be 5 games where I probably shouldn't have won the game, but someone on the enemy team like intentionally fed curves or something.
Hmm.
So like I know that over time it will like balance itself out. So like maybe like 40% of the games are like game ruiner decided,
Yep.
but like the other 60% of games are what like I how I play like decides the victory.
Right.
But it's like that really doesn't like help, and that's like one of the things that frustrates me the most.
Yeah. So this is like a kind of a weird subject because like I'm all about like going for, high avoiding looking at variance, like saying like, oh, I have a 5 loss streak here, what happened? I'm like, much more focused on the big picture. But this is like one of the situations where you can't look at the big picture sometimes. Because like saying if you're just like somebody who's not into stats or whatever, and you say that you have a 51% win rate, that's like, wow, that's really close to 50. That's not very good. But in reality, a 50, anything over 50% win rate means you're going to be climbing MMR. So
Yeah,
in this case, it's like kind of bad to look at the big picture, unless you're somebody who's not affected by this, but it sounds like you are. Um, so I definitely recommend just like not even looking at your MMR or your win rate or anything like that, or your profile, unless you're looking at a replay specifically. Just like take every game as it comes. Like just look forward to the learning experience rather than like the number or the outcome or anything like that. Um, yeah, that and to address the thing with muting people. Generally, like the best thing to do is just mute the individual people, even if they're like nice people or whatever. I just recommend doing that. Um,
it's like what I would do is like if one person like starts flaming, I would just like mute him,
mhm.
and then if another person starts flaming, I would just like mute all chat, because like I just don't want to get like involved at all.
Mhm.
But then like if you forget to unmute it at the end of the game, that's where like the whole like drafting like phase
Yeah.
nonsense becomes a thing.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend like if your team starts flaming or whatever, just mute everyone on your team or something like that, or at least everyone who's flaming, and that way like you don't have to deal with the mute all chat thing.
Yeah.
It's worth taking the time to just individually mute them. You'll see pro players do that all the time actually, and it's probably for the same reason too. Like muting all chat can be detrimental in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it would
Okay.
definitely be nice to have an option to like mute people as well, like during the drafting phase.
Hmm.
Like, I kind of don't know why that isn't like added actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I definitely understand what you mean. Like some guy just starts, spamming a language like in all caps or something after you pick a hero or something, and he's pissed at you. But uh, yeah, and it's definitely frustrating. But I mean, the best thing you can do is laugh it off. Like assess what they're saying, like see if there's any validity to it, and then just kind of laugh. And yeah, so that's my recommendation for that. It's not something. I mean, maybe it is something that you can like solve, pretty quickly. But the whole queuing up for games thing has to be just like you just have to dive into it head first, and eventually it'll solve itself.
You just have to
Um,
like man up and just do it.
Yeah, well, not necessarily man up, but just yeah, just play games. Just play video games. That's all. Just okay.
Like when you when you put it like that, it's like so simple,
Hmm.
but it's just I kind of find it funny how like this stuff like affects me, and like you said it affected you in the past, and like it
Yep.
probably affects like thousands of Dota players.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure.
it's almost funny to think about it like that. It's a little bit depressing at the same time.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think a lot of it has to do with like um. Okay, so this is gonna get like a little heady, and maybe I'm like reaching here, but um, I think a lot of it has to do with like the rise of esports or whatever, and how like it's finally becoming sort of like accepted in the mainstream, or not like accepted, but like there's a little like sliver of acceptance there. Like people are starting to know about it, um, and they think that in order for their activities or whatever to be valid, they need to be really good, and the only way they can even know if they're good or like even remotely decent is by looking at that number going up and down, which is your MMR.
Mm.
Um, so when they lose games or whatever, and it's their teammates' faults, or they perceive it as being their teammates' faults, it kind of is like, okay, these guys are like holding me back from being a pro player or um, like achieving my goals or whatever. But really, it is just a video game at the end of the day. Like 99.999% of players are never going to be esports like professional players or anything like that. Which is, I mean, that's just the harsh reality of it too. Like that's the same thing in sports. Like how many famous football players do you know from school? Like the kids that were on your soccer teams or football teams, or whatever. Um, like how many of those guys went on to play professionally?
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you mean.
yeah. So that's kind of the harsh reality of it. But I do think people like get mixed up in that a little bit, even if they don't think about it that much. But yeah, it's definitely silly, um, especially since like it just doesn't matter. It really is just a video game. Um, yeah, most competitive like activities kind of take that or bring that out in people though for sure. Okay, so do you have any like other stuff that you just want to talk about outside of game?
Um. Oh. When you when you go inside the picking phase of a game,
Hmm.
like so I've like heard you say that you enjoy playing offlane, or
Yep.
like that's like your main role.
Yep.
So, like if someone like takes like the lane that you want, like how do you how do you like deal with that? Like, do you just like say, hey, like, can I offlane? Then
Oh,
like, or do you just like ignore him, or
I just play
like
something else.
do you ever just like ignore him, or because like that's something that could cause your teammates to tilt. It's like
Oh, yeah, I don't recommend doing that. Like unless you mean like ignore him and then play something else. If you mean ignore him and then go to that lane anyway, I don't do that. I think that's just like a bad way to practice, and it's also a bad way to like have fun and enjoy a game. It's just like it's putting your team like all in a situation where like they're not going to try to win, and trying playing Dota but not trying to win isn't fun for me. Even if those guys were going to feed anyway, I still want to like make sure that I'm not tilting them, even though I'm not like actively talking to them and trying to like console them and everything. I still do my best to like not tilt people with like just meaningless actions like that, like picking a second offlaner or a second mid hero or whatever.
it's like like one of the most frustrating things for me is like I'm pretty like specific in like what I play. Like I pretty much exclusively play mid and safe lane.
Hmm.
It's just like what I've played ever since I started playing.
Right.
And the most frustrating thing for me is like I highlight mid or like safe lane or whatever.
Hmm.
It's like let's say I just happen to be like there's like me and this other guy waiting to pick, and like he just picks like Sven or like Puck or something.
Hmm.
It's like that's like one of the most annoying like things for me, and I feel like there's just almost like no reasoning with these people.
Right.
It just like that in itself like tilts me so hard.
Okay. Yeah, that's valid. It's definitely annoying, but you also have to realize that like I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but you're not entitled to be a mid player or whatever. Like even
Yeah,
if you put your
I
icon,
definitely understand that.
like Arteezy is not entitled to get mid in his pub games. I mean, he has like he should get mid because he's like one of the best players in the world, and he's also likely the highest MMR in the game, and that's a little different. But even then, like it's still a game, and you're not better or worse than anyone else in terms of like where you stand
Mm.
in the Dota world in general. So like you don't deserve to get mid just because you put your icon there or whatever. I mean the icons are there for a reason. Like hey, I'd like to go mid if possible, guys. But they're not like I'm going mid or I feed. And some people take them that way, of course. But you know, just like everything else, they can be misinterpreted. Hell, maybe I'm even misinterpreting it too. That could be very likely. But I think this is a very rational way to think about it. Um, I definitely feel your frustration though. Like that is annoying for sure, especially if you want to practice something specific. But the worst thing you can do in those situations is like just tilt or try to go mid again, and 2v1 mid or something like that. Um,
I
yeah.
guess the reason it like frustrates me the most is because like I might not be better than this guy mid, but I'm a lot better mid than I am like a support.
Hmm.
So if I'm forced onto a support, I feel like I have a lower chance of winning because I'm not playing something that, well, I'm not playing like my best role. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I guess like the easy answer is like, well, learn how to play a better support. But it's like
Right.
that doesn't. I don't really enjoy playing support, so I do just like unless I'm playing in like a 5 stack and
Hmm.
like I know I can rely on my like friends or like just teammates
Right.
to not like completely screw up or like not know what they're doing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's I guess that's like the main reason why I get like as tilted as I do.
Yeah. No, that's totally valid. And supporting in pubs can suck, especially if you're not a comfortable support player. I do recommend that you do the thing that you suggested, where like the easy answer is just like learn how to play one support hero really well. Preferably something that's like a little bit weird that people don't pick often. Um,
It's like there are some support heroes that I like play a lot. I guess like Wisp is one of them. It's like
mhm.
if
Oh,
I ever
yeah.
go if I'm ever playing with my friends and I there are like 3 people on court, I would just like pick a Wisp, you
Right.
know, because I know like I'm gonna have high impact on this hero,
Hmm.
like no matter what. Like if my safe lane Stark is like 0-3 at 5 minutes, I'm gonna be able to help him like pull back into the game.
Right.
But it's like when I'm playing with like other like 4.6, 4.7k players, like whatever my MMR exactly is at the moment, it's still like I have like the doubt in the back of my mind, like, is there any point me playing support here? Like, are we just
Yeah.
gonna lose anyway?
Well, again, this is like another thing. Like you're not entitled to winning either. like it might sound stupid, obviously, because I know you don't think that, but what you're telling me is like when you pick support, like you're being denied like what you are supposed to have, like a higher chance of winning, which like you don't deserve that. Nobody does. Um, I definitely understand what you're feeling though. Like I've been there for sure. My advice is that I guess not really advice, but basically like supports can impact the game a lot too, and I can tell from the way you're speaking that you realize that. It's just like a different kind of impact. It's not like you farm and then you kill people. It's like your specific map movements really affect the outcome of the game, and like how you pull in lane and where you choose to rotate and all of that stuff. So it is a different game. Um,
Like, that's the reason I like playing Wisp because I
mhm.
feel like I'm gonna have a high impact when I play that hero.
Yeah. There are plenty of supports that have high impact though. Like my favorite support hero is Rasta. Like I think like just looking at my match history. Um, okay, I haven't played him recently. There's one. Okay, but yeah, I play Rasta a lot when I support. Um,
Mm.
like just because he has a lot of CC, he can push towers on his own. He can push out creep waves. There are a lot of heroes like this too. Like Lion is a pretty good one. That's high impact. Lina is high impact. Witch Doctor high impact. There's just so many heroes that can like impact the game positively. Even if your cores are like kind of bad. Obviously, it's not like as easy to win as support, like unless you're really good. In which case, like it can be easier. But there's still ways to impact the game. So I think it would benefit you to like at this point, since you're already like 4.6, 4.7. I think it would benefit you to like learn one hero in every role, like play 5 or 6 games of them,
Mm.
um, and just try to like have those heroes as like a comfort hero, quote unquote. So if you're ever in a position where you need to like not play mid or whatever, like maybe you get a pro player in your game and he wants mid, something like that, then you can go support or whatever, and you won't be useless, and you can still learn. Um, that's another thing is like when you play a different role from your main, that's a great opportunity for you to look at the game from a different perspective
Yeah.
rather than just from the mid lane, and that really helps. Like for example, if you're a support, you can realize like how difficult it can be to gank mid sometimes. Like even if it's a Zeus, like maybe you're Tusk and you're playing with a PL mid against a Zeus. That's in theory that's like really easy. You just snowball and kill him. But you actually learn like different pathways. Like oh, okay, if I want to go kill Zeus, I can't walk this way, or I have to ward this place first, or I have to deward this place first. So you can actually apply things from support to like your mid play as well. Um, I think that's pretty important once you start getting higher MMR
Yeah.
is being able to like apply that knowledge that you learn from other roles.
Like one thing also that really like dissuades me from like playing support or
Mm,
like wanting to play support in my rank games is
mm,
because I feel like there are very few heroes that are an exception to this. Like Wisp is like the main one. Like I feel like I have a really good understanding of what a support should be doing from like a carry perspective,
mm,
but I feel like I'm really bad at recognizing when I need to do what as a support. You know, just like
okay,
if I'm playing a carry in a situation like you're a vengeful spirit, like on my team in my
right.
lane, I'm like, okay, well, I'm a jug. There's a what like a I don't know some random like here like a scarf mage solo offlane or something.
Mm,
Like I know a stun into Blade Fury is a kill, like
right.
100% of the time. But if I'm actually like playing the support here, I might be like too passive or maybe like too aggressive with my zoning, so I'm no HP, so I can't like go to pull or I can't like actually go for the gank because I'm so low HP. You
Mm,
know, like I feel like that is like one thing I'm really terrible at is like knowing what I should be doing when I'm playing this support. Yet like if I'm playing with you, I could tell you like, okay, this Venge is just such an easy kill.
right.
But honestly, like I think I have an answer to my own question there. Because like I'm not comfortable enough playing the supports as I am playing with that support.
Mm,
So it's like,
yeah, no, I definitely understand what you mean. So my recommendation for this is obviously like getting more comfortable as a support. That'd be good. Um, but also like if you ever don't know what to do, just do what you think is going to benefit you specifically rather than your team. And that way, at least somebody is benefiting. Like maybe it's not the right play. Like maybe you're supposed to, just sit behind your carry and wait and not take any XP or whatever. But at least you're getting something out of it. Maybe you do make a game losing play off that. But worst case scenario is you just running around doing nothing, like wondering what you should be doing.
which I feel like happens too often.
Right. So in that
The,
case, rather than
the
running
very few
around,
games that I do play support, I feel like
right.
that happens like too often.
And a lot of that will be
Especially,
just because you're not comfortable.
sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, it's okay. No worries.
But it especially is the case when I'm playing with like higher MMR players. Like
Hmm.
um, one thing that like I used to do is I have this one friend who has like a stack of like 6 to 7K players,
Hmm.
and we used to like snipe Sing Sing when he would 5 stack,
Hmm.
and like usually I would play offlane, but there are a few games where I was support,
Hmm.
and it was just like I would run around like, does my carry want me to leave the lane? Should I be zoning? Like, is pulling now a good idea? And I just feel like I end up running around doing absolutely nothing. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
hey, I might as well give my like safe lane player control of my hero because he made me. And I,
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely understand. In cases when you're in stacks, it's okay to just ask, especially if you're playing with somebody better. That is a sick learning opportunity. That's so good. If you can just like ask the safe lane carry player, like, can I pull? Or like or you can even just say like I'm gonna pull and then do it, or unless they tell you not to, in which case is okay. Um, but yeah, like uh, basically the worst thing you can do, like you were saying, is just run around and do nothing. doing nothing doesn't mean you win the game. Maybe your carries, carry you, but it won't be because like the win won't be because of you. Um, and that's not a bad thing, right? Like it's not bad to be in games where you get carried. I get carried a lot, but still, um, not good for learning, obviously. So my general recommendation is just like, don't be afraid to do something and mess up. Like, don't be afraid to pull and mess up the equilibrium. Just like try to think about it beforehand. Like, if I pull here, one, is a wave going to be messed up? Is it going to push to the enemy tower? Or two, is my carry going to take too much damage under tower? Do I need to wait for him to get some kind of regen or something like that? Or like, am I going to be able to pull through in time? Like, are there enough creeps in the camp from earlier or something like that? Like, if you can think about what's going to happen because of what you're doing, that's fine. Definitely easier said than done, but yeah.
I guess like another thing is like when I play carry, I constantly tell my support what to do. It's
Ooh,
like
okay.
I would say like, right, can we kill this guy? Like just stun into Blade Fury and the Scarlet is dead. Or like can you stack and pull the hard camp? Or like I'm not getting like we're doing nothing here. If you just pull, like stack and pull, then let me get solo XP. No, it's like, but I'm just really terrible at recognizing when I should be
Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack.
doing it as the support.
Right, and it's tough, like for sure.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Obviously, I keep saying that, but generally, like, and I'm gonna say this once more. If you don't know what to do, then you should do something that will get you EXP and golds. That's like the very simple answer. It could just be even like going mid and like taking EXP there or something like that. Ideally, you don't have to resort to doing that, but or maybe let's rephrase that. Let's say like go to pressure mid rather than like do nothing. This is like a really hard thing for me to talk about without having like a game in front of me, but yeah, I'm just gonna say it once more. Like the general answer is if you're not doing something that gets you gold and EXP, then you're probably like not doing the right thing, or you could be doing something better, something like that. Yeah, that's all I can go on if I don't have a game to look at. I hope that kind of at least half answers your question.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I had a question in my head and it's gone now.
All right. Would watching a game help refresh?
I think it was something like outside of the game, like
Okay.
more along the lines of what we were talking about at the beginning.
Okay, so like anxiety, pressure, expectations, like friend expectations, something like that.
I guess like I feel pressured to like win the game by myself as well. It's like
you should,
because I don't like I hate relying on my teammates to like do stuff, which is probably why I don't like playing support, to be honest. Because I feel like there's a support can win the game like easily. Like if you kill the invoker like 4 times mid before 10 minutes, and, like he starts tilting, or like your co-op just solo kills him,
right?
Like over and over. But like I feel like I'm pressured to like win every single game by myself, and it's like I guess that's one of the reasons why I probably play with friends as much as I do compared to like solo queuing, because I feel like at the very least, if one of us is having a bad game, we can sort of like rely on the other to help us out a bit or give us like. So if I know my Scarlet has died like 3 times before minute 10, and I'm an invoker, I'm like, okay, well, I have double force spirits. I'll just go jungle. You take EXP mid. It's. I feel like I don't have this like level of communication in my pubs because I expect so little of them.
Right.
Which is kind of a good and a bad thing, I guess.
I'd say it's mostly good. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. Yeah, so there's actually like sort of an illusion there. Basically, unless your friends are like much higher MMR, the only way your friends are more reliable than pubs that are around the same MMR is that you can talk to them and know that they'll listen, or they'll try to listen anyway and understand. And also, you guys know how each other play, or how each friend plays, like to an extent, right? Like you
Yeah.
know their habits a little bit. So that's the only way they're more reliable. Other than that, like there's no difference between your friend who is 4.6 and another person who is 4.6. The only difference is that you understand them more. So if they mess up, you can understand why they did it, like more than another person. Like
Mm.
even if it's something like really stupid, like they just like run down mid and feed and lose control of their hero, and just like, oh my god, I forgot where my hero was. If your friend does that, you can be like, oh, okay, that's stupid, but I mean, I get you. But if a pub does that, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? Like, come on,
Mm.
dude, like,
Yeah.
get your head in the game. So that's kind of an illusion. I definitely feel that though. Like playing against or playing with my friends, like it feels like they are better than their MMR, but they're really not. No matter what.
I think I like briefly touched on this before.
Mhm.
Um, but I think one of the reasons why I'm so anxious to like play solo ranked
Mhm.
is because I care so much about like every game. Like I said before, I think it was something like I really hate losing. I want to win like every single game. Obviously, like
Right.
we did like speak about that, but still, like I care so much about every game that I really don't want to lose, and like I that's one of the reasons why I think I get so frustrated with teammates.
Yep. Okay, so that's valid for sure. My recommendation to this is like the outcome of the game shouldn't matter to you anymore. Obviously, much easier said than done. You can't just like cut that out cold turkey. But the outcome of the game really does not matter. You're gonna win a lot of games. You're gonna lose a lot of games. Some games are gonna be close. Some games are gonna be like very one sided, and they'll just be stumps. But if you focus on like stuff that is specific to what you want to practice, like let's say I want to get better at split pushing as Invoker and getting pickoffs when people go to rotate. Um, it's something tangible you can work with, and that's something you can improve on pretty much no matter what. Or maybe it's
Yeah,
something as simple as like, I want to improve my Invoker laning stage. I want to get X amount of CS at 10 minutes, and um, I want to not miss any stun strikes for that game. Like
mm.
that's sort of like result based thinking, but really it's result based thinking that isn't directly related to what your teammates do. Um, does that make sense? Because like in order for you to win a Dota game, your teammates do have to do something positive to an extent.
Yeah,
It's really hard to win by yourself. You have to be like really really good, and you have to outclass everyone else in the game. Um, but if you just focus on like specific things to practice, like the stuff we talked about earlier, or to um, compare it to like sports, for example, I want to be able to I don't fucking know. Uh, like not miss any free throws in basketball or something like that, or like be able to hit like 70% of my 3 pointers, something like that. Um, it doesn't matter what your team does at that point, and you can just focus on that. And if you accomplish your goal, that's great. Try to win the game after that. Um,
yeah,
I hope what I'm saying makes sense. I feel like I worded that
yeah.
poorly.
It does. It does.
Okay. But yeah, I found that helps me a lot. Like to compare it to offlane, I'll say like, all right, I want to um, offlane is a bit weird because it's like much more dependent on team and stuff. But um, I want to get level 5 by 4.5 minutes or something like that. Or I recognize that it's a lane that I can win if I play a certain way. Like I want to try to do that and do my best. And if I don't do that, it's okay. It sucks. I'll try to do it next time.
Mm. I think I one thing that I think maybe affects me more than others
Mhm.
is like I know improving doesn't mean your MMR goes up, and like your MMR going up doesn't necessarily mean that like you're improving either.
Right.
But I feel like when my MMR goes down, I feel like I'm getting worse. As dumb as that sounds, like
No. Okay.
I
Yeah.
because like I feel like I don't go into the mindset. I don't have the mindset of like going into a game and like if I lose, like I don't think, all right, my team lost me this game, whatever. Like
Mhm.
I know for a fact if I lose a game, there is like at least like one or two things that I did wrong that lowered our chances of winning this game. Like
Yeah.
maybe I died once, had to use buyback, so we couldn't take a fight because I didn't have buyback. So if I died, we would have just lost the game, you know?
Right.
So it's like I guess I hold myself to like a really high standard, and I get really frustrated when I lose because I know like I fucked up.
Right. That's fine.
It's like when I win, I analyze like why I lost a lot better.
Wait.
Well,
Why
sorry,
you won?
when like I analyze my mistakes a lot better.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think what I said earlier will help with this. If you just take it as like I want to, play a matchup a certain way and have a specific outcome. I think when you do that, it will be easier for you to assess your mistakes, because at that point, like, it's much easier to say you messed up when you lose, right? Like, it's so much easier for any rational human being to do that. Like, clearly you did something wrong if you didn't win the game. Whereas if you win it, it's harder. So it's actually kind of surprising that you can analyze your mistakes more when you win. Um, it's not too common, but I do think the like focused practice kind of mentality will help you a lot in that regard. I could be wrong, but that seems to make sense to me.
So like instead of just like going into a game trying to win, like just go into a game with a certain like focus, not just like a specific, like try and improve on a specific thing, not just
Yeah.
trying to win the game.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously you still try to win, right? It can't be like I want to focus on like, I don't know, some really flashy invoker combo. Um, unless you have like a specific reason for it, like a specific application in mind. But definitely trying to win is important, but the focused practice comes, that's more important. Because like this is how, or this is why professional sports teams drill things. Like they'll do, corner kicks or something in soccer or football. They'll just do that over and over and over again, and it's focused practice. Like there's a very specific reason for why they don't just continue playing games over and over and like do scrimmages. It's just not efficient compared to focused practice.
I feel like I do that quite a bit. Like for example, Arc Warden is a hero I've been playing a lot lately. Just super fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And like before I played him, like after I had like a good idea of what I needed to do, like before I went into a game, I went into a demo and I practiced like I had like a Salve Mango, like Necro 3 and bots in my inventory. I would just like alt Mango Salve TP Necro. I'd spam that like 50 times or something. So like I could do it like really quickly. So I wouldn't waste time on my own. It's like I do things like that. Like when Leshrac and Nina like became popular, I like would go into a lobby, create a bot, and practice like use into stun. So like 50 times. So when I get in the game, I don't mess it up.
Right.
Like I remember what I wanted to say before.
Okay.
And I think you kind of already answered the question. But I feel like I've been playing on autopilot lately. Just like
okay.
Not even like I don't know how to explain it other than just like playing without thinking,
Yeah.
And I know like I think it's just maybe I've adopted like bad habits. And like I'm just that might be why I feel like I'm losing confidence in myself, or like what I feel like I'm playing badly because of this. Like just playing on like autopilot, not really thinking about what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and that would explain your issues with like not wanting to queue and stuff, because you feel like or maybe not necessarily this, but like your control of the game isn't as good. If you're not thinking and you're a core role, then you can't expect to win Dota. It's not an FPS game, and even I would argue that in FPS games you have to think as well, but like to a lesser extent. I don't know if that's a good comparison for you or not.
Yeah, I think it is. Like I used to play FPS games in the past, and like it's a lot about muscle memory more than things.
Yeah, muscle memory is a great word. Like if you're somebody who is just like you constantly practice, like you constantly deathmatch and like just look at walls and shoot walls and like try to see how your gun shoots and like the spray patterns and everything. You don't have to think too much. It all just becomes instinct. Like you know how to take a certain site. you know, like the correct crosshair placements, all that kind of stuff. You don't have to think about it. And in Dota, it's like there's some truth to that too. Like there are some certain things that will you can practice and drill, like invoker combos or like specific pathing or like last sitting in lane. Those are all things that you can drill, but really most of the game is cerebral. Like it's not nearly as mechanically intense as an FPS game is in most cases anyway. Obviously there are some exceptions, but yeah. Um, so it's definitely not a game where you can just go on autopilot. Um, I think this is a very common issue though, but and especially like it sucks for me to tell you this too because I know you work and everything. So you come home from work or school or whatever it is, and
Mm.
you go to play Dota. Like almost the last thing you want to do is like think a lot and like try really hard. You know, after a long day's work or whatever. I mean, I'm not. Maybe I'm projecting here, but yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely true.
yeah,
Right.
it's yeah. So that's just something you have to do if you want to like play and really improve and like do your best in every game. Is you have to think. You can't play on autopilot.
Like, and I don't really know why. Like, it started happening.
Mhm.
I feel like it. I feel like it was like a few months ago where I started like noticing this like change. I
Mhm.
guess in my play, and I don't really know like what was the cause of it, which is like the main reason why I I'm doing this like session is because if I knew the cause or like how to resolve it, like
Mhm.
I wouldn't need your advice.
Right.
Yeah. Um.
Okay.
No, it's the stuff that you said is like really true, and it's hard to take it all in, which like is why I'm glad that you're recording,
Yep.
so I can like review it whenever I want, really.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. While I'm thinking about it though, one thing that helps me with like autopilot stuff is like I sort of had that issue too, not as much I don't think, but you know, I had a week span where I was just like, you know, playing Dota, queuing up, like playing 8 or 9 hours a day, just like playing constantly. Like I wasn't getting anything out of the games. It was like almost a complete waste of time, if not for the muscle memory thing. Um, but I realized that like I was really tunnel vision on what I was doing. Um, when Dota is all about information gathering. And have you ever watched like Eternal Envy or RTZ play Dota? Like
Yeah,
their player perspective?
like
Um,
I spend more time watching Dota than I do playing Dota.
okay, well, that's fine. Um, one thing that you'll notice when watching either of those two players is that their camera is never in like the same position for more than like a second, unless it's in lane and they're last hitting. So like I'm gonna share my screen really quick, and I'm like spectating a game, so I can demonstrate this. So I'm gonna share. Okay, is it working?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so like Arteezy is playing Invoker. He's hitting this, and in between every time he goes to hit, he's like looking around the map, like just spamming. Even if he's not even like taking in any information, he's just doing this shit. His camera's going nuts. Like,
Yeah.
and like this is very healthy, right? Because he's keeping himself engaged. Even if this has become a habit for him and it's mindless, he's still like actively doing something within the game. Whereas like he could very easily just autopilot on this ancient creep and just be like, all right, hitting, great. All right, not thinking, it's great. Not taking in any information.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
this helps. This like um gets your mind thinking about Dota whether it wants to or not, basically. And I've tried adapting this as well, and I've had good results with it. Sometimes I still like forget about it, and like it just kind of slips. But it's mostly become a habit for me to just like look around like this and be ADD.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely recommend trying this anyway. And it's
That's
also
really
a good
interesting.
mechanics. It's good mechanic practice as well because like in order to do this, you need to be able to click accurately and like, all right, I want to immediately go from Sven, look at him, click on his items, box out, like do all this, and then I need to go back to my hero, like select my hero really quick, go back, continue doing what I was doing, look bottom, and like this is all really good practice, and it's a good way to remove this kind of thing where you misclick or you do something else bad in a game. So I definitely recommend trying this. I think that would help you.
I think one thing um I think this might be my biggest issue like
Hmm.
when actually playing is when I'm doing poorly or like my team's doing poorly or like the game in general is like not in our favor.
Hmm.
I default to farming and like just because that's like I'm like a core player, but like if I'm playing a hero like Puck
Hmm.
and like my Dusa is like unable to fight because she has like phase drums equivalent at 20 minutes, right?
Hmm.
I just default to farming, split pushing, and like not not making space in other ways by like getting that easy kill with my support line. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like just bad habits is like, and like this autopilot like mindset, or like I don't know
Okay.
how to describe it.
No,
But
I think I understand what you're saying. I think defaulting to farming is like something that's relatively healthy. Like if I have students that
one
are
sec, sorry.
yeah, no worries, no worries.
Sorry about that. My mom came home.
Okay, no worries. Um, so I forgot exactly what I was saying.
It was about like the like defaulting to farming.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, the defaulting to farming thing is like not the worst thing you can do, right? Because at least like if you're making a bad decision, you can at least get golden XP out of it. It's something
Yeah.
that if you go back and watch, my lower MMR coaching videos, I always tell people to do that actually.
Yeah, it's like that. That's something that was like drilled into me, like as well. Like
Mhm.
it's really easy to outfarm your opponent if you know what you're doing, and
Right,
like generally outfarming your opponent means that you're winning the game.
right.
And it's just like I default to that when the game is like not going good, and I feel
Mhm.
like that's super bad. Like I feel like I've thrown so many games by like just not AFK farming, but like split pushing too much or whatever. Like, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good. Um, so yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's not the worst thing to do to default to farming, but like you said, in a lot of games, it's not going to win you the game. It's just going to like keep you afloat, or maybe it could lose you a game. If you're like doing it in a position where you can just kill everyone. Um,
Yeah.
it definitely depends on the game, so I'm not going to give you like a solid answer on this, but in general, if you're thinking and looking around the map and like trying to think of what your next move is, you won't have to do that, so it's okay. Oftentimes like
Wait, sorry. Could you say that again?
yeah. So if you're looking around the map constantly and like just trying to figure out what your next move is, who you can kill on the enemy team, what you need to kill them, what they can do defensively to counterplay, um, all of that stuff. If you're thinking about that constantly, then you can kind of like form a game plan for yourself. It's hard to like stay focused on that for sure, but yeah,
Mm.
think that's my general advice to that, or for that anyway. I hope that answered your question a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I think defaulting to farming isn't totally bad, but you're right. In some games where like it's more than just about getting 10 CS a minute or whatever, where you actually need to like really impact the game heavily in order to win. In that
Mm.
case, I think just trying to stay present in the game and like keep your mind in the game will really help you. Much easier said than done, though.
It's like there are a lot of games where I'm like I could be playing like Alina, like I hear that could farm really well, and I'd have like 300 CS at like 30 minutes, right? But like
Mhm.
I've had like barely any impact, and I feel like because I died like twice while trying to gank the enemy Spectre, like now he has like drums are in phase.
Mhm.
Like I just default to farming, you know. And it's
Right.
like obviously in that situation, if I'm getting 300 CS at 30 minutes as Alina, like I'm taking a lot of space from my safe lane. I'm not like impacting the map. Like sure, I might be split pushing, but
Mhm.
split pushing only does so much as like a certain area. You know?
Yeah, you need to mix in split pushing with like intentionally forcing rotations that you can get pickoffs with, especially on a hero like Lina or Puck or Quap or whatever. Um, so that's definitely big. Um, yeah, like I said, it's hard for me to just give you like good advice on this without looking at a game, but um, definitely like if you find yourself in that situation a lot, I think the best thing you can do is like before the game even starts is like decide who is killable with what items and what spells. Um, and basically what I mean by that is like okay, So you're Invoker and you're doing that stupid ass like Sunstrike, Deafening Blast, Meteor combo that everyone
Yeah.
does. It's really good for killing heroes, obviously. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but there are certain heroes that can get out of that, like Juggernaut or Puck, um, anything like
Yeah.
that. So just think about like that beforehand, like what the enemy team can do to stop that, and then try to figure out like, okay, I mean this isn't going to happen over one game either. Like you're not just going to have a eureka moment in most cases. It's going to be like very slowly learning this. But like if I push top and there's 4 people bottom or 5 people bottom and they're pushing, who is most likely to TP and what hero can I kill if they TP? Something like that.
I think one thing. Well, I say one thing. Like another thing that is
Hmm.
that I struggle with is transferring like my skills from hero to hero. So like Storm was like my favorite hero for like 2 years. Like
Mhm.
I would play that hero every game. And it's like I would see like the enemy team pick Client, and I was like, well, I actually like couldn't care less. Like the only hero that they have that can do anything to me is Lion.
Mhm.
So like I just Orchid the Lion or Vortex the Lion, and I'm free to do whatever the hell I want in the fight.
Right.
And it's like the only way they kill me is, apart from me like heavily messing up, is the Lion like hexing me.
Hmm.
But it's like I could play like, let's say, I don't know, like a Legion Commander, and I'm like just like split pushing top tier 2 tower. And like I die because I don't recognize, oh hey, so they have a bounty hunter who's probably going to be on top of me. Like this is a really bad example because it's like super obvious, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is, an example. So it's like I'm not very good at like transferring my skills from hero to hero.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think I have any specific advice for this, other than just like before the game even starts, like just start trying to analyze what your hero is vulnerable to, um, like what specific hero combinations. As you play the heroes more and more, and as you like start thinking about it more and more and using those muscles, so to speak, you'll get better at it. It really is that simple. Well, it's not that simple, obviously, but the solution is that simple. It's just like practice makes perfect. Um, yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you.
I understand.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the best I got, I think, is like it really is just to think more.
Yeah.
You can't go on autopilot if you want to do that. It has to be like maybe instead of thinking in this case, you could say like try to improve your map not understanding or awareness, just like your I guess map understanding is an okay thing. There's probably a better word, but yeah. So like understand like where heroes are going to rotate, how long it's going to take them, how much movement speed they need to get to one point for one point to another, like to where I am in a certain amount of time. All this kind of thing. Like, and obviously you can't know for sure, but you can guess.
Like
And I think that's a good idea.
One thing that I struggle with, like
Mm-hmm.
for like a few months, is like I felt like I was like really bad at like understanding a certain state of the game,
Mm-hmm.
but like I feel like that is easily answered just because like I'm not thinking properly while I'm playing.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can't. Well, maybe you can be a prodigy and understand what's going on in the game without thinking, but yeah, no, that makes a
like,
lot of sense.
when I play heroes that I'm super comfortable with, like I feel like I don't have to think when I'm playing, like
Mm-hmm.
because things just come like naturally. Like so, if I'm playing like Tinker, who is another one of the heroes that I played a lot, I would
Mm-hmm.
like okay, so every odd minute, so like 5, 6, 7, like when it comes up to like the even minute,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense, like I go stack the hard camp or like the medium camp and then go for the root.
Right.
When I like back in the day, it would be like go stack ancients,
Yeah.
and then and then like get the root. It's like so things like that. It's like so ingrained that I don't have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm playing a hero that I don't like play too much, that it isn't like super complicated, I fall into the trap of just like autopilot, like which is one of the reasons why I actually like started playing Arc Order recently, is because the hero is like so complex
Mm-hmm.
that I force myself to think about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or it's like, for example, Spectre, which is actually a really good point that I'm gonna make now. Is
Mm.
like goes to what you were saying about like moving around the map. It's like when I play Spectre, the second I hit level 6, I'm like looking for where I can get kills. I'm like pinging to my team like go rank top, you know,
Mhm.
like which is pretty much like what you were saying. It's probably one of the reasons I've had success. I have like I don't think I've lost a game with Spectre this patch. Like obviously he's a good hero.
Yeah. And okay, so I'm gonna stop you right here. Basically, like that makes perfect sense to me. The fact that you can like a Spectre kind of forces you to look around the map if you want results. And also another thing like that you were talking about is you tend to go on autopilot when you play heroes that you're unfamiliar with. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Well, okay. When it comes to like mechanical play, if you don't have to think about the mechanics, then you don't have to. You can use all of your energy on thinking about like map movements and stuff like that, and that's good. That is a
Yeah,
positive thing.
I think it was a mistake to use the same phrase. Because like I it's almost like I know what I'm doing
Mhm.
to the point, and I've done it so many times where I don't have to like worry about, or I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, it's
You know?
just muscle memory. Like,
But
I feel you.
playing on like autopilot, like defaulting to farming or like buying the same item every game, or
Mhm.
like, oh hey, I saw like CC&C go Vel or like go Treads Blink Vel on Puck, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna do that. You know, it's like, yeah, sure, I might default like and not think about what I'm doing, and I end up like getting a Vel on Puck, and I'm like, well, my hero is actually useless because they have an AM who has a Manta.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he got like 5 kills in lane. He probably has like 12 CS a minute at like 20. You know,
yeah.
like well, yeah, I'm useless now. You know,
Mhm.
so like that's kind of what I mean when I like playing on autopilot.
Okay.
But like things like sucking and then getting the room with like heroes like Tinker or TA, you know, or SF. Like that's just like
Okay. Yeah.
ingrained, you
So
know, muscle memory.
yeah, to clarify then, the ingrained stuff is great. That's good if it's a good habit anyway. Like stacking ancients on the augmented or whatever as tinker. That's good. Obviously not anymore because you can't do ancients, but you
Love
understand what I
them.
mean. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's good. The autopilot thing not good. Um, for obvious reasons. Like we talked about them already. Um, what is my advice for this? I mean, I guess
Uh,
my advice is just like keep your hero pool like relatively small, like maybe 5 max heroes for mid, and then like 1 hero in each other role.
mm,
And that way you don't have to worry about the mechanic side, and you can just focus on like what items to build, how you're going to move around the map, um, how you're going to kill heroes, or not necessarily even how you're going to kill heroes, but which heroes you can kill, and which heroes can kill you, what spells you have to look out for, stuff like that. I think that's my best advice for that topic. Does that answer your question, or like
yeah, yeah, it
the idea?
does.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
Not that I can think of. Like I've exhausted my notes.
Okay. Well, I mean, no, that's good. That's good timing. Um, so yeah, just to recap, like, um, there's a lot of stuff to recap actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah,
Um, uh,
this is. I felt like this is so much more useful than like watching a replay because we talked about so much stuff that we probably wouldn't even have begin to get into if we were
yeah.
just like watching a replay.
No, that's definitely true. You're actually the first student I've had that like completely dedicates an hour to like verbal stuff, and I think it's extremely helpful because a lot of this stuff, like, if it's preventing you from playing Dota, then you're not going to get better at Dota. That's just how it is. Like, you can't do anything about it unless you get past the mental block yourself. But in that case, it wouldn't really be a mental block, right? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think this will be, or I hope anyway. I really do hope that this is helpful for you. Um,
Mm. I mean,
yeah.
like the stuff that you said, it makes so much sense.
hmm Okay, well, that's good.
It's yeah, it's been good to. It's almost like I'm like seeing a counselor or something. It's like it feels good to like get some things like off my chest and get some like advice on how to like like deal with this like not wanting or like not playing solo queue and stuff.
Okay, I mean, I definitely understand what you mean. That's funny. I wouldn't have thought of it that way at all, but it's true. Like, I'm a shrink of sorts. Okay, that's funny. But yeah, okay. So yeah, if you don't have any final questions, I think recapping would be it'd take a good 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think we should wrap things up then.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Okay. So yeah, long story short, I guess like uh, just try to chill out and always stay present in games. I think if we were to recap, those would be the most important things. It's just like make sure you're not going on autopilot if you want to win. Um,
And actually cute.
yeah, and Q. That is important too if you want to do the other stuff. That's the most important thing probably.
Mm.
Well, all right, man. I'm glad this was helpful. I hope you
Yeah.
can apply this stuff in your games, or at least
Yes.
like queuing and everything.
Thanks.
All right. Well, if you have any further questions or whatever, just feel free to send me a message.
Yeah,
It's
will
totally
do.
fine. Okay. Well, good luck, dude.
Thanks.
Peace.